of travel restrictions into the Philippines, and that includes easing of our mask mandates to allow our country to be at par with our ASEAN neighbors who have long liberalized their mask mandates. In addition to this, it was also discussed that the remainder of stringent protocols, such as, be removed. In addition to this, as far as unvaccinated foreigners are concerned, they would henceforth be allowed entry into the Philippines with only the requirement of presenting an antigen test 24 hours taken before departure, or an option of taking an antigen test upon arrival into the Philippines. In addition to this, it was also agreed that the One Health Pass would be removed as already publicly announced and replaced with an e-arrival platform that introduces great convenience to our travelers and tourists, in the sense that the interface is now more user-friendly. 20 questions that used to be in place have now been reduced to 10, specifically those that are tourism related. And as agreed during the meeting, it was clarified that the filling out of the e-arrival card would not be made mandatory as a prerequisite to boarding. In other words, you can fill out the e-arrival card at your own convenience prior to departure or upon arrival. It was also agreed together with the Department of Health and in their discussions with the BOQ that special lanes would be provided in the airport for those that have not had the opportunity to fill out the e-arrival card. The overarching direction of the Marcos administration is to allow our country to convey an openness and a readiness to the world to receive tourists and investments, so that we would give our fellow Filipinos an opportunity to regain all the livelihood and losses that were incurred during the pandemic. So we are optimistic that with all of these restrictions being lifted by the Marcos administration, that this can only redound to the benefit of the lives of millions of Filipinos that serve to benefit as well from the reinvigoration of the tourism industry.
Questions for Secretary Frasco? Maricel Halili, TV5.
Hi, Sec. Magandang hapon po. Ma'am, clarification. I understand kung ano yung purpose for the EO na gawing voluntary na lang yung wearing of indoor face mask. Pero ano po yung napag-usapan sa cabinet meeting tungkol doon sa XBB and XBC cases? Because I understand it is still a cause of concern considering yung pagiging immune evasive daw ng mga virus na ito.
To be very clear, the matters of mask wearing as well as the new variants was extensively discussed during the IATF meeting that was conducted last week together with our fellow cabinet secretaries. And the DOH had presented its discussion on the new variant. But the overall direction of the IATF, and as discussed earlier during the cabinet meeting, is that first, this is not the very first variant of the pandemic. We have had several other variants in the past, and that is the reason why the DOH has been very aggressive in its vaccination campaign and booster campaign, which are all still ongoing. In the end, we simply cannot go on in a pandemic perspective because we have to give our country an opportunity to thrive while maintaining basic health protocols on one hand and safeguarding and protecting livelihood and the economy on the other. And this is the reason why the new variant is being managed by the DOH while the government is considering ways with which our economy can recover. It is not a mutually exclusive exercise wherein by implementing the easing of these travel restrictions, efforts towards managing the pandemic would cease because it continues to be managed by the DOH. There are two pieces of good news that I wanted to share also. First, because of our President's position of prioritizing travel and tourism as a priority agenda of his administration, and this sense of optimism and hope that which has reverberated across the Philippines, there is great interest in the Philippines. This is actually well reflected in our tourist arrivals, which have now reached 1,827,603 arrivals as of today. Notably, this exceeds the previous projections of the Department of Tourism prior to June 30, which pegged international arrivals only at 1.7 million by December of 2022. In addition to this, the optimism and a positive outlook for the Philippines is also very well reflected in the recently concluded Philippine Travel Exchange, which is the biggest government-led travel exchange organized by the Tourism Promotions Board, which is the marketing arm of the DOT. The numbers are record-breaking in that there are sales and leads of upwards to 173 million pesos. This far exceeds previous sales in that the highest sales achieved was in 2018 at 94.8 million, and in 2019, sales were pegged at 46 million. What does this tell us? This tells us that the Philippines remains a top-of-mind destination all over the world, only that we need to continuously improve enabling mechanisms of coming into the Philippines. And this is exactly the direction that the Marcos administration has taken in easing travel protocols as well as the other programs and plans of the Department of Tourism under this administration.
Ma'am, follow-up.
Last
How
question.
about, ma'am, the timing, considering na mag-uundas and it will be per months na. So, of course, expected natin na mas magiging matindi yung pag-mobilize ng mga tao. Isn't this a cause of concern?
What we have to understand is that the shift in the mandatory nature of mask wearing to the voluntary nature of mask wearing leaves the choice to the individual to whom we entrust to make an informed choice about mask wearing. We have seen from the issuance of the executive order of the President on the outdoor mask wearing that notwithstanding the fact that outdoor mask wearing is now voluntary, people still elect to wear masks. At least some of them do, outdoors, because now it's their informed choice. And we foresee the same for indoor mask wearing as well. By no means are you required not to wear a mask, only that you are given an option not to wear a mask this time around. Notably as well, from the issuance of the executive order by the President, we have seen that since September, there has been a decrease in COVID-19 cases by 2.8%. And up to 22 October 2022, there has been a decrease of 22.74% in positive cases. And therefore, this supports the empirical data that we had previously presented vis-a-vis our ASEAN neighbors, wherein the lifting of the mask mandate in no way led to any surges in majority of these countries. And this is also what we have seen here in the Philippines what we anticipate with the indoor mask wearing being made voluntary.
Thank you very much, Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco. Maraming salamat, Malacanang Press Corps.